I'm hesitant to start the show this way because I don't want to bring yet more attention to something that not everyone has seen that embarrasses me, but I want to offer the audience an apology at the top of the show today because of something that happened on Mystery Crate recently. Do not like that in the continuing giving of microphones to everybody around here, because we try to do that, try to share the space. Some things get said that get to me late, and I'm embarrassed by us telling our customers to shut up about their complaints when I value their complaints, and their passion is what funds us. So it will not happen again. I will make sure it doesn't happen again. Everyone here will be told not to tell the customers to shut up about their complaints when their complaints have been earned. We bill more than anyone in the sports podcast space because of the support and the loyalty of this audience, and the employees around here will not embarrass me on that front anymore. Will not embarrass Metal Media on that anymore.
It wasn't me?
It was not you this time.
Wow.
No. We got used to telling the people to shut up with their complaints at ESPN when we had the safety and protection of ESPN. Didn't care if we got ESPN in trouble or got fired from ESPN. But when we're on our own, we need to not do that because this is a fractured space and their loyalty funds us. It is a legitimate value, and we shouldn't do that.
Okay, that's fair. So everyone, stop doing it. Let me do the embarrassing around here, okay? And you guys just do what you do, which is be entertaining, be fun, with smiles on your faces, okay? I'll take care of embarrassing us, okay?
I embarrass a little bit.
All right, good. Well, you're welcome to the party.
What's going on? What's going on with you and FAU? What are the latest steps with you getting? I don't want this to end in yet another embarrassing failure. I heard Stugotz is making calls. I heard we have other people making calls. The negotiations have been set. I heard you talking about not only do I now want a seat on the bench to be a cheerleader for FAU, but I want access to the locker room, and I want to be able to get content when I'm there.
I'm just saying I want some access. I don't want to go and get a ticket to 222 row 5 is what I'm saying. And from our end, it's happening. We've booked it. They're refundable bookings because but
our end doesn't matter.
No, it does.
We don't have the bench to be like, hey, Chris, like here's a jersey.
But Dan
has hairy shoulders.
We booked the flight.
But Dan has been critical of our team in the past of like we say things and then we don't do it. From our end, we are doing it. It's booked. If they say you have the green light, then I'm coming on Wednesday night. So
I think their coach got carried away.
Right. That's probably what happened.
It's okay. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to work through it. But I think you need to establish what's acceptable to you. I think that's fair.
Right. Like Dan wants me in uniform, literally on the bench. I don't think that's going to happen. Because, Dan, let's think about this. In their biggest game in school history, they're just going to be like, let's get wacky here. And bring some guy in that hasn't been part of the team all year. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So if they say, hey, we can get you a third row ticket right behind the bench, and we can give you a little access to take some pictures in the locker room before the game, that's good enough for me.
It would shame and disgrace and desecrate that uniform. However, if you're a progressive, forward-thinking coach in the TikTok age trying to get your team some publicity in a market, I mean, let me explain something to the audience.
They got to the Sweet 16. I mean, they're getting it.
Let me explain something to the audience about this market. Stugotz, you take every side of an argument because right before we started,
so great.
You and Greg Cote were giggling about how mad Indiana must be at Miami right now.
Oh, they have to be. Yeah. I mean, Indiana. We have everything on Indiana. We do. We have beaches. We have clubs. We have a nightlife. We have sun. They have nothing. They have basketball.
That's
and
it.
now they don't have that.
We took it away.
They have nothing.
Bobby Knight's throwing a metal chair in his living room.
Stugotz and
it's incredible.
Cody were laughing about if FAU wins the championship, the smattering of 4 people on Glades Road near the Blue Martini.
There'll be another parade down Glades Road.
It's the saddest parade in the history of parades.
They were just talking about we do not care about basketball in this market. The women yesterday had the biggest win in program history. Another number one seed goes down. I had so many of my friends who have watched literally one half of women's basketball in their life saying it's not fair that they play the game in Indiana. Why do the Miami Hurricanes have to go? They need to change the rules. Even though women's basketball is growing, I'm assuming the reason for that. I don't actually know the reason. I'm assuming the reason for that is because the sport is growing, you want to make sure that your one seeds get a full crowd in their home as opposed to going to some neutral site and then not having the energy you would have for a one seed favorite be playing at home with their crowd for something that matters. It's not fair in any way. That game was terrifying yesterday. I watched the end of that game. Indiana never seemed to lead in the game, but it felt to me like they were always going to lead. I still am sitting here right now expecting them to lead in the game.
When Haley Cavender did the shush meme right there with the finger on the mouth, I was like, why would you do that? Why?
But even better to beat them in their own state, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Their
great.
own
We
house in Assembly
dominate.
Hall.
We dominate Indiana in basketball. It's incredible. I mean, did you ever think you'd see the day, Dan?
Basketball has two teams in the Sweet 16. The women being there is stranger than the men because they lost in the ACC tournament by 26 points to Virginia Tech. Indiana has been overwhelming all year. They're playing at home crisply around the basket. As they were chomping at the lead, I felt them getting better shots at the rim with the motion of their offense, but they could never finish off the Hurricanes. I thought for sure UM was going to lose when they make the three after she shushed the crowd. They make the three with 8 seconds left to tie it. I'm like, okay, here is where Miami loses. And they end up winning the game. Whittingham is a UM alum. I was shouting at my television. Did not think I had this in me. Make a free throw!
Hang on a second.
Wow.
Every college basketball fan in the history of time has shouted that at their television come March because it is like you get so used to watching NBA games where everyone shoots 88% from the line, nobody misses, they're no 1 of 2. But like for me, baked into watching the end of a college basketball game, they're going 1 of 2 from the line. Like a 1-point lead and a foul is a 2-point lead if you're lucky. Which yesterday it was a 1-point lead. When you had a 1-point lead and there was someone going to the free throw line. But yeah, it was an immense suffering because in the first half, I turned the game on. I think UM was up 4 and I was kind of in and out. And all of a sudden UM is up 16. And all I thought was the 1 seed history of women's college basketball is this lead is going to be closed. So the bigger that the UM lead got, for me, the more suffering it was going to be when the comeback inevitably came. And just going down the stretch, every basket was hard work. There was that one pass to Haley Cavender who hit a 3, total clutch. It was incredible. Destiny Harden a couple times on the interior, getting that shot at the end. Getting the shot at the end in the paint, that was incredible. And 54 for Indiana, Mackenzie Holmes was so good operating around the rim, like you said, getting so close. I mean, it was like, just feed her every time down the floor. There's no answer to that.
Indiana late in that game missed a couple of bunnies.
Couple of bunnies.
A couple
Really?
of, yes,
Yeah.
a couple of
Couple
real.
of bunnies.
Destiny Harden missed a couple free throws after she dominates the first half. Then she misses 3 crucial free throws in the final minute that could have put it away. And then, so you're down on her. You're like, oh, she was so dominant. And then she misses the free throws. And then they give it to her because that's when anytime they need a basket, they go to Destiny Harden down
Destiny.
low, and she gets the it wasn't even on the left side of the rim, but it just did that weird thing where it ends up going in. Oh, at the end there, I cannot what you guys have said. They're up double digits in the first half. It never felt like UM was winning that game.
Never.
It felt like they were down even when they were up. The resilience of that UM team in that environment, that was legitimately impressive. Like this team, I think. They're not going to face anything tougher than that there.
They're 14.5-point underdogs.
They were. Yeah. I saw 15. Destiny Harden is Meadowlark Media's one of our NIL athletes. We will see
She's
if we
been
can.
out to the sad fronton. She has.
Oh, that stinks.
Wow.
She had a great time. She was enjoying herself, cheering on the Cessa Cyclones.
Did she have a great time?
She did.
She did?
Yeah.
So much so that she stayed for about half the game.
Yeah.
We will
Very
see.
long.
We will see if tens of thousands of dollars are enough to lure her onto the show here at some point to talk about what I imagine Greg Cote thinks. I don't think this is recency bias. They haven't been this deep in the tournament since 1992, I think you could say it's the biggest win in program history.
It is. There's no question about it. And it's in '92. It was easier to get to the Sweet 16 because the tournament hadn't expanded yet. So this is.
It started with 16 player teams.
This is easily the best victory in club history, and I feel great for Katie Meyer because she's a relentless winner, but hasn't had consistent great success in the postseason, quite frankly.
10 tournament appearances for her, I believe,
Right.
since she's been at the University of Miami.
But
And
this is the deepest run.
And if you were watching that last night, the energy of it could be felt because they were on the road in a tough place to play. But getting back to what Stugotz and Greg Cote were laughing about, the Hoosier State doesn't have a thing that it associates with more than basketball. Not that I can think of. And to lose to both Miami teams when this city is filled with yawning indifference about college basketball. Like
I love it. That's great.
No city in America
Cares less.
about
And no city cares more. I mean, more like the loser state.
Yeah, out Deanna is more like it.
Oh, come on. That was for Greg's, right?
My dad
Greg?
did like a nod.
Oh,
Like,
no,
yep,
Greg.
that was
Yeah,
it.
that's what
He thought out Deanna. He thought it was a winner. He was waiting to be showered by crowd applause there.
What if it was just loser state?
I
would have been a
think-
laugh.
No,
I
nothing.
would've.
The loser.
Oh my God, come on.
Roy, penalty box. Get out of here, Roy.
I'm trying to get
Roy.
sound.
Out.
I'm trying to get
Hoosier
the
State
I didn't
out.
make the joke. I didn't make the joke.
Out.
All right, fine. I'm on it.
2 minutes for supporting me.
That's not fair, man.
Let Stugotz embarrass us. I want to talk about somebody I know that is near and dear to Greg Cote's heart. Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Yeah, big fan of his. Never knew how to pronounce that name. Thank you. I had the 6ix9ine part, but not the other part.
Name a song.
Really? You're going to
The
do that?
Ballad of
He just said
Tekashi
he's a-
6ix9ine.
Yeah, it's a great one.
He
Classic.
just said he's a big fan, Dan. I want to know what he's a big
Tony,
fan
And
of.
who in the
Tony.
audience took me seriously
Tony,
there?
go sit with Roy.
There, please.
I mean,
Wow.
honest to God.
Wow.
You took him seriously and then ask him, name a Tekashi 6ix9ine song, Greg Cote?
I don't even think Tekashi 6ix9ine fans can name a Tekashi 6ix9ine song.
That's right.
He is something, a creature that makes me feel ancient because I don't understand anything that's happening there. Fame for the sake of fame. He gets kicked out of a WBC game the other day for being too drunk, Stugotz, and it was reported causing a ruckus.
Oh, wow.
And I want to get the hierarchy of drunk put together and find out where we would put on the hierarchy of drunk causing a ruckus, because it's got to be near the top, does it not? Where do we begin? What is the lowest item on the drunk hierarchy?
I think a buzz.
Yeah.
Like I have a buzz. You start there with a buzz.
Tipsy?
Tipsy seems
yeah.
even more diluted.
Let's
seems
rank those two right now. Like, what's
I
higher?
go buzz
I go
before
buzz,
tipsy.
tipsy.
Okay,
Yeah.
agreed.
Buzz,
I-
definitely the right
tipsy.
order.
So the
Yeah.
shipping containers, I'm working on one, and sometimes I make unilateral decisions. I started mine with mildly inebriated.
mildly inebriated before tipsy and buzzed.
Yes.
I feel like that should be third after. Like, you're buzzed, then tipsy, then mild and
Man, I don't know if I agree with you guys. Tipsy is so nothing. Tipsy is, I'm feeling it slightly. Put it on the poll, Juju, please, at LeBatard Show. Which is the weaker state of drunkenness, buzzed or tipsy?
I think you start with buzz and tipsy comes out of your mouth. Hey, I feel a little tipsy as you're approaching drunk.
To me,
you
they're
know?
the exact same thing.
You're buzzed before you realize that you're drunk. You're tipsy when you realize, like, all right, something's happening here. You'll say, all right, I'm tipsy.
I think some people just say tipsy, some people say buzzed, and they mean the same thing. It's like the early state
I
of just
think-
you feel a little something. As soon as alcohol hits your system and you're like, I feel something.
I think people who say buzzed are people who actually drink with some frequency. Nobody says tipsy unless they have one beer a year. My mother used to literally have like one beer a year, and she was the kind of person who would say, wow, I'm feeling a little tipsy.
Lewis is like that after one beer. No, but I think this is the guy we should trust on this right here.
Oh,
Greg
he's
Cote.
the
Well,
expert.
I mean,
He
yeah.
is certainly the expert. Greg Cote, I believe, if you had to put an average on it, number of beers consumed daily.
I don't like to think in those terms. I don't like to.
What about yearly?
Okay, okay, no, don't. What do you mean yearly? No, let's. Number,
terms do you like to think?
Thank you, Chris. You go sit in the penalty box.
Oh, wow.
Yearly, like
Quite a
honest to
disciplined
God,
penalty-filled
honest
game
to
here.
God, what are we doing?
I have about 2 beers a week. 2 cases of beer is what I meant to say. 2 cases.
Yeah, 2 cases of beer a week.
Yeah,
That's how. So that's it's 48
Yeah,
beers.
something like that.
48 beers.
I don't like to brag.
I would guess that it's more than that.
It could be.
2,500 a year.
Why are you still here? I'm going to have to enforce something stronger here. You know what? Adam
He
McKay
left his phone.
Adam McKay suggested this to me the other day, and I think he's right because you guys are disrespecting when I send you to the penalty box. You stay here. He's saying the next time someone does that, say the punishment is you got to go to the DMV, stand in line, and just wait until you can tell the teller, "Have a nice day. I think you're doing a great job," and then leave. He thinks I have to increase the penalties on the discipline because you guys aren't respecting the penalty box when you throw the show right into the shitter. And asking Greg Cote for a number when he's not willing to admit daily or weekly to give you a number of beers he drinks a year, asking him to do the math of that.
Yeah, you can't do that. I'm still trying to wrap my head around why Tekashi 6ix9ine, all his songs have one word in the title. I think that's consistency, but it's also a little off-putting to me. Shake it up a little bit.
Yeah.
When I said I drink 2 cases of beer, I don't want the kids in the audience to get the wrong idea. That is absolutely not true. I do not condone drinking. I don't drink that much, and I just wanted to set that record straight.
Greg, would you prefer he has 6 words or 9 words in those songs?
I just like a little variety, instead of having a song called Dummy, make it Dummy, am I right? Make
Jeremy,
that the title.
penalty box right now.
That's a
I deserve
DMV.
that.
I deserve that.
Get out of here. You're lying to the audience. You're publicly lying
do
right
you
now
mean?
to the audience. I know how much you drink.
Oh, I thought you meant about 6ix9ine only having one word titles.
You're
in the
so
songs.
right about that, by the way.
Yeah, thank
I mean, enough of Gooba and,
Right.
Kiki.
Fefe and,
right,
all that
exactly.
stuff,
I mean, it's enough. Give us some words.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
The songs have more words in them.
Let's get
than just the
Kiki.
title.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Kiki Vandaway. Kiki D.
Yeah.
Don't go breaking my heart, am I right?
One of the all-time greats, yes.
You have the floor, LeBatard.
Back to you.
You just referred to him as 6ix9ine by his last name, or what
Right.
you think is his last name, because I think you're still afraid of his first name.
Tekashi, isn't it?
No, but real Tekashi fans call him 6ix9ine though.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I got credibility at stake here.
How's our hierarchy doing?
So we were debating buzzed or tipsy.
Tipsy.
The next suggestion comes courtesy of Juju Gotti.
Get out.
He has
Eating.
he has wavy being next.
Wavy's for
Ooh,
sure. in
wavy.
there.
Yeah, that's in there. Yeah.
Wavy after tipsy.
Wavy.
Yep. Then we get to turnt. Then we get to lit.
A little early for turnt. I thought
Really?
turnt is like
Turnt is pretty good. Turnt is I would think it's on the second half. Like you're
Right.
raging at
After
this
drunk,
point.
yeah.
Turnt
Or that's
and
turned
lit,
up, maybe.
Turnt and lit, I would think, are on the other side of the halfway point of where this should be.
I think wavy might be the halfway point.
Yeah,
Once you get wavy, you're like, okay,
Well,
I'm
wait a minute.
vibing.
You
Hold
guys
on.
just went from tipsy and buzzed to wavy. How's that the halfway point?
I'm with wavy being like you're on your way there. You're not fully, but lit for me, lit and turnt is like I'm where I need to be.
Yeah,
but Dan's
I think we're getting bogged down. I think you start with a buzz, you get a little tipsy, and then you get to drunk, and then from there it's all kinds of different things. Hammered, destroyed, dancing. I mean,
this is yeah.
Dancing.
that's the end for me.
Dancing is the highest.
This is parenthetically white people dancing.
I'll dance now.
That's now. When I was single, it was telling everyone I was an astronaut or a NASCAR driver. Now it's just dancing.
I did the same stuff.
That's the end.
I was
John
a Marlin.
Wiener.
I was a Marlin scout. That's what I would say.
I was a Marlin backup catcher with a World Series ring. Oh, was it a good time?
Wait a second. You told women that you were out with I'm a Marlin scout. Like that was gonna impress
worked.
them.
I had a ring.
worked.
The Marlins backup catcher, his name was John Wiener, 97, and I had a ring from that team. Okay, was it 03 or 97? The 03 team. I had a ring that said John Wiener. Okay?
Chris Cote, if I may, because I don't want to hear the rest of this story.
I wasn't done yet.
I know, but
wasn't
we've
done.
heard it before.
Yeah, well, there's always someone listening for the first time, Dan. I love you, audience.
Chris Cote, Marlin Scouts don't tell women that they're Marlin Scouts.
I work at baseball.
They work in radio.
I may have just said a scout. I think I may. You're right. To your point, I may have just said I'm a baseball scout. But I was in college. I didn't have it. Like, what else am I going to say? I didn't want to say I'm in
Literally
college.
anything else.
Yeah, like,
All right. I mean, you guys are ripping it, but it
but
got
Chris,
the job.
like,
It got the job done.
Okay, put it on the poll, Juju.
I feel like hearing someone's a baseball scout is like, oh, it's
I'd be
interesting.
like, oh,
you
God, that's
travel
so
around.
sad.
You.
That's so
To
sad.
you. No.
You guys are off
I know
on
a lot of
this.
scouts. They're sadding people.
Okay.
They're
just
what
so-
kind of people?
Sad people.
I'm just surprised that you didn't aim loftier.
Well, I was in. It wasn't like now. You know, if I did it now, I would aim way higher. But I'm just saying, I'm in
Yes.
college. I'm like 19 years old. So I'm like trying to seem older. I'm like, what could I be? I'm play baseball. I'm like, I'm a baseball scout. It
Chris?
seems like something like. I always felt like that'd be a cool job. Travel around.
Put it on
Just
the
say you
poll.
play baseball.
Put it on the poll, Juju.
That's not believable.
At LeBatard Show, please.
Work for me.
Is I'm a Marlin Scout a lie that works in the pickup game? You, Chris Cote,
What did you do in college? What'd you say
are
in
telling
college?
me the truth.
Oh, come on.
And I wasn't successful. I was not successful in this realm, so I'm not the one to ask. But the truth did
Tell
work.
someone you
The
fly a
truth did
rocket
not-
for a living.
The
I
truth
mean-
did not work. I can't imagine. I can't even explain to the audience how odd and awkward I was in college coming out of an all-boys high school. I spent my first 3 years spinning around, just spinning in a circle. But Chris, I believe that baseball scout might indeed be interesting to someone named Paul.
That's true. To me, it's mysterious.
No, you're a
Ooh,
baseball scout, huh?
He's on the road all the time, traveling. I don't know.
It's got to be a Yankee scout if you want to go scout. You got to be specific. No, Yankees has some cachet to it at least.
George Costanza?
I wouldn't go scout at all, is what I'm saying. But if you're
secretary.
going to do it, I mean,
I want to talk about the World Baseball Classic because Greg Cote, when he returns from the penalty box, will inform us that he has covered a great many of these games. Yesterday was a lot of fun. What are you pointing at Chris Cote for, Roy?
I was just saying to Stugotz and his ear, who am I? Albert Brooks? I mean, Yankee Scout over here.
What is that?
That's a
The
good
Scout.
movie, The Scout.
Yeah. Brendan
Gene
Fraser.
Michael. I mean,
Gene
stick.
Michael.
Stick.
God almighty, Stugotz. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at LeBatard Show. Was The Scout a good movie? Rarely do
Lane
I see
Smith.
Stugotz feel shame, but when he references 1977 Yankees general
I felt
manager
it right there.
Gene Michael,
Stick.
Stick. One of the leanest GMs in history.
No doubt.
Greg, the World Baseball Classic, you have been covering it. Yesterday was really cool to see Japan. Half of the households in Japan have their televisions on, watching Japan-Mexico last night. Japan advances. I was, again, legitimately stunned by the crowd at Lone Depot Park because we do not have big Japanese or Mexican contingents in this town. It wasn't full, but it was still electric. Japan advances, and you've been at the game, and I have a number of questions for you. After the game, Masataka Yoshida was quoted as saying of the game, he had, I think, the game-winning hit, the best, he said, epic. And I don't trust the translators. Randy Arozarena was interviewed the other day, and he said that he's always out there giving it 200%, and the translator cleaned it up to 100%. And I'm like, that's not what he said. And this happens all the time with the Hispanic translators. Now, this is a shorter quote. He could keep up with it, but the Hispanic translators are always getting it wrong and always making it less interesting than it actually is. It's a really odd thing, and it bothers me all the time because they can't keep up. It's just a baseball coach, and he's trying to keep up with 3 paragraphs worth of excited talking, and there's just no way to translate that correctly to the audience. But Greg's been at these games, and he says the Japanese contingent, the media contingent, is nuts. It's like beyond Ichiro Suzuki, and it's beyond Otani. It's the biggest you've seen in terms of a contingent just ransacking a game and covering the hell out of it.
It is, and throughout the whole tournament, I've been to a few games in Miami, and you see, like, even in a Japan-Mexico game, you see Puerto Rican flags and Venezuelan flags. It's people coming to all these games, and the world. When Edwin Diaz suffered a terrible injury, and when Altuve suffered an injury, there was some blowback. Some people calling it, they just got injured in a meaningless game. The players don't think these are meaningless games. They're into this. There's a momentum for the World Baseball Classic, and this is only the 5th one. But there is going to come a day when this has a chance to be like the Soccer World Cup. It might not happen right away.
Well, it already is in Japan. Don't tell me it might not happen.
Yes,
it might not happen right away. But you tell me half of the televisions anywhere are on something.
No, it's
half
crazy. Yeah.
Of the televisions, and to get that result where you beat Mexico that way, you're trailing in the game, and you get big dramatic moments that get you back in the game, and those players are clearly so effervescent. They clearly care so deeply, so emotionally about what's happening, and now they play the United States. And you can make the argument, Stugotz, I don't know whether I could do this mathematically, but I'm guessing I probably can. Is the baseball game between the United States and Japan, given what the numbers are going to be, the most viewed baseball game that there has been? I don't know network television at the start of the 70s or the 80s when you got Gene Michaels Yankees.
Stick.
When you've got people playing the World Series then, maybe in America when it was the national pastime and there were only 3 channels and crazy numbers from back then where millions and millions of people would watch, would make it so that the Asian contingent watching this game wouldn't be as big. I don't know how to do this proportionally, but I'd be tempted to say, given that half of the country of Japan was watching yesterday and now they're playing for the championship and they're doing it against the United States, so one would assume that's an even bigger game. I don't think Americans will be watching it in great numbers, but I wonder if we can do with Japan what the Aaron brothers do, Tommy and Hank, when they talk about being the combination that's hit the most home runs in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of international interest, there is no debating that this is an enormous event. But Americans tend to be myopic about this stuff. It's on FS1. I imagine, Japan, Mexico rated like 600 or 700,000 people, and the U.S.A might have done a little over 1 million. And so in the context of American sports, it's not viewed as this massive thing. But I'm sure if we did TV ratings in the Dominican Republic, it would be enormous. In Puerto Rico, it would be enormous. Like, there would be all kinds of international interest in this. And I do think that baseball needs to not have this be a World Baseball Classic and we do it before the season. I think they should do it in the middle of the season. I think they should stop the season in order to do it. They should call it the World Baseball Cup. They should have qualifying from all over the world.
Why the middle? Just out of curiosity. Why not after the season?
I mean, you can kind of do the World Cup of Soccer model. You just sort of drop it in the middle. Everyone's in prime mid-season form, and we stop what we're doing so that we draw attention to the fact we, as a baseball population, legitimately care about this, and we're putting enough resources behind it to make it a showpiece of our season.
But then you have teams who are in actual contention in the middle of a season, losing guys like Jose Altuve.
To me,
I know, but the owners care. You might not care. The players don't care. The players love it. Their contracts are guaranteed. The owners care. They're paying them a lot of money.
Even the World Cup pauses the leagues.
Well, it comes at the end of the season.
They can't continue.
It comes at the end.
Right.
Like, you would agree, Woody, like, if they're going to do it mid-season, there need to be breaks from the MLB season for this.
Yes, there would. Or we could just do it after the season, but then you're doing it in November in the middle of NFL season.
But
I
Woody,
think
if you lived
as
in
a showpiece July event,
There's no perfect time for it.
No, but Woody, if you lived in a market that cared about baseball, if you yourself cared about baseball, and one of your best players got hurt halfway through the season playing in what is a meaningless game, No,
But what I'm saying is, I'm no longer.
You would not be happy
I'm no
about
longer
it.
making it meaningless. I'm making it the World Cup of baseball. I'm making it the biggest international tournament in baseball, probably bigger than the reach of Major League Baseball itself.
But it is now, no matter when you play it. It is.
But I do think that there's a certain amount of like, this is a preseason tournament for baseball. They treat it like that. And to be fair, like Fox had their A announced team and their A studio team on the field after the game last night. They're covering this reasonably well, but it's not marketed as the biggest event in baseball.
Well, the semifinal was bumped from Fox to FS1 so they could play Farmers Want a Wife. So I'm just saying, like, I every baseball fan I know is into this, so I don't like the narrative that America doesn't care about this, but it was bumped from the main Fox for Farmer Wants a Wife.
Farmer wants a wife. Put it on the poll, please, Juju at LeBatard Show. Tony says that and Kansas basketball suck. So put it on the poll. What sucks more, Kansas basketball or Farmer wants a wife? I have not seen a lot of this in the growth of sports. I would say to you that in MMA, for example, in my lifetime, is one of the few sports I have seen grown out of the gutter, out of nothing, into something that becomes a mainstream, credible thing. To watch the World Baseball Classic grow as a mutation, as something ancillary to baseball, powered, Stugotz, by fun and emotion, like a commotion of what's over there, why are those people so excited? To see this grow into something 5 years in that gets people talking this way and interested this way, I don't have a lot of examples for all of the sports that are trying to grow globally, grow internationally, grow content audiences. You say, Greg, that there is no perfect time to do this. If you're going to do it, if you're going to risk the injury to key players, the perfect time to do it is spring training when everyone is getting ready for baseball anyway, and these players can play in games that matter. They be playing warm-up games anyway. Right. It's a good time to play it. I'm just legitimately stunned, Stugotz. You have to understand where I'm coming from on this. I have seen baseball fail in this market. It's won 2 championships, and everybody comes in and says to me, the business can work here because Latin people care. We'll just build it in the center of that Latin place in Miami, and we'll build the economy around it. It's been lies. None of it has grown. Baseball has used this place as a feeder ground business for the rest of its entity for a long time, abusing this place, trashing its fans, angering its fans, creating a betrayal that once was anger and now is indifference. To see that park jammed with emotion,
it's cool.
It's crazy.
Yep.
And you could tell me it's an exhibition. You could tell me you don't care. You could tell me the games don't matter. You could also tell me, and I'd understand it, the business of sports. Steve Cohen doesn't want to lose his closer for a year, no matter how much his patriotism matters to his closer. Doesn't want to, and I get that part of it too, but you've now built a construct as a side business that grows your game, and it's at odds with the Steve Cohen spent how much money, Stugotz? What's the number at what the Mets owner has spent to get into the NL East game of we're going to spend more than everybody and we're going to keep this this division from the Phillies and Braves.
Many billions.
Who are also, they spent billions on the buying of it, but his payroll is some asinine, ridiculous thing. I understand. Anyone can understand why it is that he would object, but to have adjacent to it, this emotional thing that's growing, when sports gets very few of these, Stugotz, these business opportunities don't happen like this. And to see it fueled with the specificity of, oh, there's Latin people being Latin, colorful and loud and ridiculous and cartoonish and caring. And there they are making it so that Japan is in the game and everyone cares emotionally. And so now you're outside of the United States. While we make fun of Ohtani and Trout for never reaching the championship, they're playing in championship games. These are the best games that Ohtani and Trout, the most meaningful games. You say they're meaningless. They're the most meaningful games that Trout and Ohtani, Trout and Ohtani are about to play each other in the most meaningful baseball game they've ever played.
Yeah, and they're going to face each other tonight, as a matter of fact. And the World Baseball Classic plays this just right. They encourage that atmosphere and that ambiance at games. They allow musical. You can bring a trumpet into a game. You can bring drums. You can bring just about anything into a game and make as much noise as you want and party as much as you want. And the atmosphere has truly been electric. And you're right, it's weird seeing it in that place because that's a mausoleum.
It
during
is
a
so
Marlins
haunted.
game.
That place is haunted.
The Mets payroll, by the way, is $335 million this year. And Stevie Cohen cannot be happy that he lost his closer. But why are you surprised by this? Because all the games are meaningful. They mean something. There's not as many games. It's wrapped in the flag. People care more about their country than they do Kansas City.
I'm surprised by it because that ballpark is full, and it's not something I thought could happen for baseball. Everyone's proven that we don't know how to fill that park for baseball. Multiple ownership groups have failed here without knowing how to build a ballpark that was smaller than the previous ballpark because they can't fill any ballparks around here.
You have Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout in the championship game. Anaheim Angels fans must be pissed. like imagine them watching this. Like, oh, now you guys want to win.
They should be one of the angriest fan bases in all of sports.
Yeah, absolutely. All 11 of them are pissed.
Just generally for how that team is managed. They have two of the very best players in baseball. You might argue the two very best players in baseball.
No, go a step further. You're going to be able to get close to arguing by the time that those two are done that they've had the best ever to play baseball.
Right, like you keep going on that.
It's going to get very close to the two of them if they continue without getting hurt.
They were 16 games below 500 last year.
Their payroll this year is $202 million. Where's all that money going? How are they this bad? But to your point, though, about like this, if I had asked you or Stugotz, what would the World Baseball Classic, in my even understanding the teams that are in it, before we saw proof of concept, what it looks like when those fan bases are in there, you would have said nobody cares because there is just this feeling.
There's no way I'd get to this.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
There is just this feeling that a baseball event in Miami, de facto, nobody cares. That you can put big events in Miami. We've seen, Miami hosted March Madness, the first round. We haven't again because we were so bad at it. Yeah, it was like in 2000.
I'm surprised.
James Harden's Arizona State was here.
Really?
And nobody showed up. Huh. Nobody.
No, I'm surprised.
Now we own the
do
sport.
Poorly.
Dana White is coming back to town with UFC, and I didn't think I'd see it because of how mad he has been every time he comes down here that we do everything in sports poorly except the party. The bandwagon front-runner party. That one we do well.
And fair play to the World Baseball Classic, and fair play to the World Baseball Classic for actually managing to pull that off. Because the thing that the Marlins will struggle to do is you can't just manufacture that. You have to create an environment in which people are welcome to do those things. Clearly, the very same community of people that have come to Marlins Park or Lone Depot Park and have turned this into a party do not feel welcome or do not feel like connected enough to the Miami Marlins in order to want to do that for the Marlins. Because in theory, someone in the Marlins office would just go, why don't we just do that? It's not that simple. You have to connect with the community of people, and clearly the Marlins have not.
They're missing out on the Latin contingency. That's the thing. That's what makes this whole thing happen. Los Latino. You know what it is? This right here.
It is right there. The ability to go and do that.
Changes everything.
It
Changes
does.
everything.
Yeah.
You know what it doesn't do? Make Miguel Rojas exciting.
Good thing he's not here, Dan.
Or win games.
I know. I'm aware that they traded him.
Another thing it doesn't do is win games. That's the big problem.
Another one of the problems.
Another one of the problems is that they need to win games and have that atmosphere. The Marlins have tried to create an atmosphere. They have their own band playing salsa music and all that. They've tried, but it all starts with winning. You know, if the Marlins are all, and right now they're guaranteed second to last in a division because they don't spend like the three top teams. You just can't go on like this and succeed in this market.
Whittingham, please give me the hierarchy so far as it's been established. We will continue to establish it over the entirety of the show. But where are we at this minute on the hierarchy of drunken madness? Again, a tribute to Tekashi 6ix9ine, who I believe one of the categories has to be cause a ruckus because he caused a ruckus and got kicked out of a recent. That's
near the end. I feel like
I will say that's a good party though. That's a good. You're throwing a good. I did not think I'd see a day where a baseball party swelled with so much lit that Tekashi 6ix9ine, you're gonna have to leave. We're gonna have fun without you.
All right, so here's where we're at. From top to bottom, mildly inebriated, buzzed, tipsy, wavy, turned, lit, hammered, parenthetically white people dancing, 3 sheets to the wind, causing a ruckus, wasted, plastered, tanked, under the table, Greg Cote, hospitalized, David Hasselhoff, Denny's, hangover, you're not hungover if you're still drinking, Michael Jordan flu game.
Was shit-faced anywhere on there? Was shit-faced on the list?
You left out I fly a rocket.
Shitface is right after Greg Cote.
Can we at least amend that to say Greg Cote falling in the bushes instead of just my name?
No, Greg Cote works.
No, just Greg Cote will
Oh
do it.
my God.
It's a vibe.